In this video, I'm going to be going over all the iOS 14 changes that are coming out or have already rolled out, depending on when you're watching this video. But there's a lot of changes that are going to be rolling out and affecting the way we do Facebook marketing, specifically with tracking and reporting. So I'm going to go over all of this with you and what you can do to be ready and adapt moving forward. Everything has changed. So let me go over this with you. Okay, so in June 2020, Apple announced that they were coming out with new app policies that are expected to take effect as early as January 2021. As of recording of this date, the changes are already happening. I'm seeing them across all the different accounts that we manage, and there's tracking issues going on. So specifically, you can see here, tracking transparency prompt. App Store apps, including Facebook, they must ask users for permissions to track them across third-party apps and websites using Apple's App Tracking Transparency Framework. This is a tweet from Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple, and this is an example of what the prompt is going to look like. Some of you have already noticed this, some of you maybe not yet. Again, this only applies to iOS, so if you have an Android phone, you might not have seen this yet. I believe that it might roll out in the future as well, but for now, this is only in regards to iOS changes. So as you can see here, the language is just very negative. When you give the person, the first option says, ask app not to track, what do you think is going to happen, right? A lot of people are going to be opting out. If you remember, or if you've noticed, you've been getting this kind of prompt already before when it comes to any apps that have GPS or location tracking and things like that. And they've been giving us the option, do you want to be tracked or not? Only while using the app or not? That sort of thing. And if you're wondering how many of these iOS users opted out of sharing their location data, some reports put out the opt-out rate between 50 and 80%. That's huge. So moving forward, what is this IDFA? It's an identifier for advertisers. It's a random number assigned by Apple to a user's device, and it's used to track and identify a user without revealing personal information. The identifier can be used to track which event is triggered and attributed it to the ad view across different apps inside Apple. So let's go over some stats here. The number of iOS users in the US is 61%. That's huge. So again, if we go back to how many people opted out of tracking their location data, it was up to 80% in some cases. So this could mean that a lot of people are going to be opting out of tracking when it comes to the ads. So just to explain a little further how this IDFA works, it's a number that before, all it did was it reported back to Facebook with a secret key or this identifier code. It would report back to Facebook so we can track everything. Well, moving forward, if somebody opts out and they say, no, I don't want to allow tracking, the data is still going to flow back to Facebook, but it's going to be all zeroed out, as you can see. So there's not going to be any tracking for people that opt out and you send them to a website to try to get a sale or get a lead. Facebook's not going to be able to get that data back to your ads manager. Of course, you might still get the sale, you might still get the lead. It'll show up in your maybe Shopify dashboard and you'll see the revenue coming in or the leads coming in, but you're not going to be able to optimize your campaigns, okay? So some of the changes that are announced that are going to be rolling out or have already rolled out is delayed reporting. So real-time reporting is not going to be supported. The data can be delayed up to 3 days, whereas before we used to have it sometimes immediately, sometimes within an hour, you would see it show up in your ads manager. But web conversion events are going to be reported based on time the conversion occurs and not the time of the associated ad impressions. So what that means is Facebook used to have a tracking system that whenever you showed the ad to someone, and if there was a conversion that occurred, it would attribute it to that. Well, now it's only going to attribute whenever the conversion actually occurs. Additionally, we're not going to have support for breakdowns. So for both app and web conversions, delivery and action breakdowns like age, gender, region, and even placements, that's not going to be supported anymore. So you're going to need to run split tests to find the best demographic for your brand. So before, you could look in your ads manager and look at all the data, and you can see, oh, I'm getting more sales or more leads or whatever it is, right? More conversions from males that are, let's say, 40 to 55 or something like that. Well, you're not going to be able to do that anymore. So now you're going to be responsible to run your own split test, and you're going to have to spend money on 2 different ad sets running to, let's say, females and males, or break up the ages or break up the placements. I want to show this only on let's say Instagram stories, and then you're going to split test. I want to show this only on let's say the Facebook news feed, things like that. So you can gather your own data now, because Facebook's not going to be breaking that down for us anymore. All right, so changes to the account attribution window settings. Once Apple's iOS 14 changes take effect, the attribution window for all new ad campaigns will be using the updated settings. The default for all new or active ad campaigns is going to be set at a 7-day click attribution window, no more than 28 days. We're not going to have no more of the 28-day click or view. So what that means is, before, you were able to run some ads, and if anybody clicked on your ad, and let's say they visited your website for your Shopify store and they didn't convert, but then they converted, let's say 3 weeks down the road, that's still within the 28-day time frame window, and the ads manager would report that sale down the road whenever it happened. Well, that's no longer the case. They're only going to be giving us a window of 7 days. So the data that you see on your ads manager, and you're so used to using that data to optimize your campaigns, it's going to be totally different now. So you have to make sure that you're using this new window if you're not yet, and by the time you're watching this, the changes haven't been rolled out, whether you want to or not, and you're going to start using the 7-day attribution window. So make sure to start using that now and start getting ready and accustomed to optimizing within the 7 days. So what do we do now? Okay, it's time to adapt, right? There's constantly changes going on when it comes to Facebook from the time the ads manager has been rolled out. So this is just another thing that we have to adapt to. Okay, what I'm going to be doing is focusing on Facebook sourced audiences a lot. So what that means is, this is a screenshot from when you go inside your business manager and you create audiences. I want to focus a lot on Facebook sourced audience. So if somebody's watching a video, I want to be able to create an audience of those people that watched the video on the news feed or Instagram or whatever, right? They watched the video, and then you can retarget them. Instead of sending them to a landing page, I'm going to be focusing on keeping them inside Facebook and using a lead form. Or you can also use an instant experience form. If you haven't used that yet, most of my accounts right now are killing it using this, because it's an instantly loading, like a micro website within Facebook, if you want to call it that. No matter how many videos, how many images, or how much copy you put on it, it instantly loads everything. So, which is good, because people hate waiting. I mean, we all get annoyed when you have to wait for a website to load and then they just bounce out, right? This instant experience website works really well, and you're able to track people that have opened that website, so now you can retarget them. So let's say somebody opted out of tracking. Because this is happening inside Facebook, you're going to still be able to track them and retarget them, versus, or as opposed to, if you send them off to your website and they opted out for tracking, you might not be able to get that event back and create that custom audience so you can track them, if you're following me. Okay, same thing with the Instagram account. You want to be focusing on audiences inside your Instagram account so you can retarget all these people later. Okay, so we want to, like I said, create our own audiences, and these are all the audiences I'll be focusing on. I suggest you do the same thing. Now, each domain is going to be allowed only 8 events. What that means is, before, you used to be able to do custom events, and you had unlimited amounts of events that you would be able to track happening on your website. So let's say if you're an e-commerce, Shopify, dropshipper, these are the events that I recommend. You have to tell Facebook which 8 events you want. So page view, search, view content, add to cart, initiate checkout, add payment info, and purchase. Those are pretty much standard. So I don't think there's much changing when it comes to e-commerce there. But you also have the choice there to add custom events. And as long as you stay within those 8 events, and we're good. I recommend using Trackify. It is an app for Shopify stores that it basically does everything for you. It's $29.95 a month, but it pays for itself. It sets up all the events for you. It sets up your catalog for you. It does a lot of other things, helps you with analytics and things like that. But that's what I recommend if you're going to be using Shopify. They also do something that's called Conversions API or CAPI. So what this is from the server, it sends the events back to Facebook's server. So it almost like circumvents the pixel. So it just sends back the data and they're able to track things. I mean, it's not going to be 100%, but they still will be able to track a lot of other events that are happening that otherwise you might not be able to if people are opting out. Okay, we're also going to have a dynamic ads limitation. This is something I use a lot for my e-commerce shops, dynamic retargeting. So if you plan to deliver dynamic ads for your business's website, you need to set up your catalog to use only one pixel. Your pixel is only going to report and optimize for a maximum of those 8 conversions like we spoke about for each domain, by the way. So if you have a subdomain, that still counts. But if you have a different domain, so let's say you send them to a ClickFunnels domain first, and then from there you redirect them to your Shopify store or something like that, those are 2 different domains most likely. That's no longer going to work, because if they go to a one domain first and then they jump over to another one to finish the conversion, the tracking is gone. There's only one domain per the ad account and the pixel that we're going to be able to track. So you can manage all of these preferences inside Events Manager. When you create your ad set, you're going to choose only one of the 8 designated conversion events to optimize for. So what that means is most likely you'll be choosing purchase event, because that's what we want to get more of, right? Before, you were able to look inside your ads manager and you can see, well, how many people viewed my content? How many people added to cart? How many people added their payment information? And then finally, how many people purchased? That's going away. You're only going to get back the data that you designate when you set up your ad set. So if you say I want more purchases and that's what I want to optimize for, that's the only thing that's going to show up in your ads manager from now on. So that's a big change rolling out, because I used to be able to read all of that data so I can make decisions like, okay, I'm getting a lot of add to carts, but I'm not getting purchases. Then I would know that I need to optimize my store for maybe better shipping rates or more like trust badges. Something's going on inside my Shopify store that I would need to take a look at. Well, that's going to make it a lot more challenging because that's going away now. So you're going to have to do a lot of more manual work. Go into your Shopify store and figure this out without using the ads manager now. Okay, you also want to verify your domain. This is going to be a requirement moving forward. And the way you do that is under your business manager settings. Over here on the left vertical menu, you're going to see something that says brand safety. So you click on domains and then you add your domain, and then you're going to have several ways to verify. The one I recommend, the easiest, is just go to the meta tag verification. You're going to grab this tag right here and you're going to put that into the head section of your website. It's very easy if you don't know how to do it. For example, if you have a WordPress, all you got to do is download a plugin like this one here. You install it and you put your code in there and it does the verification for you. If you have a Shopify store and you don't know how to do this, you don't want to mess around with the Liquid theme or Liquid code and that sort of thing, then just go to Fiverr. You can find somebody like this guy here. I just quickly searched and I found him for $5. He'll fix or do any custom coding like this, and he should be able to take care of it for you. I've never used him. I'm not necessarily saying I recommend him. It was just a quick search I did, but you could do the same search on Fiverr and just find somebody to help you very cheap. Okay, we briefly spoke about this, but you're gonna have to split test your placements. So this is something I recommend you do now so that you can start getting some ad sets optimizing moving forward. So I would test Android devices and I would test iOS devices separately. This way, if you can find a winner with just Android devices, that's going to make it a lot easier for you to use that ad set to optimize, get better, get more results, and then moving forward, you can just scale with that. Versus, let's say you do only iOS devices. If you're able to figure out and make it work and get it converting and optimizing, perfect. But it's possible that, again, with all these changes rolling out, that ad set might just not even work out. So I want to be able to split things up and separate them, and as opposed to where before Facebook was smart enough to know, should I show your ad to iOS devices or should I show it more to Android? And sometimes it would just kind of go back and forth to get us more conversions, but no longer the case, of course. Okay, you also want to be uploading offline conversions data. This is something, it's fairly simple. If you go into your business manager, go into your settings and find your data sources, you're going to click that little green plus arrow, and then you're going to want to connect a new data source and just check off the offline, connecting your offline information to send activity that occurs in store or anywhere that's not on the website. So what I'm doing is I'm downloading, for example, from Shopify, I'm downloading all my customer data, just download all your orders, and then I upload that information here to offline, and it connects that to the Pixel, and it is starting to match some extra sales that the regular just Pixel is not picking up. So this is working very well. I think it's going to be a must moving forward. We have to feed data back to Facebook as much as we can so we can track everything as much as we can. All right, so that's it for now. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments down below. I'll be making more videos like this. Give me a subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can get notified when I put more videos out like this one, and I'll be helping you guys as much as I can. Thanks.